The information that we've been waiting for No Man's Sky Next Generation just came out of nowhere to blow our minds. What's going to happen for No Man's Sky on PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X, and Series S? Got all the details for you here in the LZ. My fellow travelers, you're in the LZ again. Thank you so much for coming back. So happy to have you. And today, the information that I have been interested in finally landed out of nowhere. Earlier in the week, I discussed or put up a video that discussed the possibilities of a No Man's Sky Next Generation update. I'll put that in the cards for you if you're interested in the context here, but to my surprise, Sean Murray out of nowhere dropped information, trailer, and patch notes for an upcoming update called No Man's Sky Next Generation that's coming on November 10th for all platforms and, of course, for free. So on the screen, I'm going to scroll these patch notes for you, and we'll talk through these as they come up. But Next Generation Update version 3.10 is going to arrive on all of those platforms, but predominantly of note for those of you who were lucky enough to land a pre-order for an Xbox Series XS or a PS5 will be able to enjoy that update on day one. So let's get in and get started. Let's talk first fuller worlds. We're going to wander across lusher, denser alien environments than ever before. Planetary terrain is populated with thicker grass, flowers, fungi, and rocks, rendered with higher resolution textures and more detailed geometry. And what's also really cool about this is that these enhancements will be available also for PC players who are playing on ultra settings. And suddenly my PC sitting next to me right now is not very comfortable. For those of you who like to annoyingly talk about cities in my Twitter feed in No Man's Sky, this might have just given you your wish. Well, to a certain extent, maybe. But richer base construction is allowing for base building on next-generation consoles that can reach even more ambitious heights with the ability to construct larger and more complex builds. Now, I'm not exactly sure how this is going to handle on cross-play with the previous-gen consoles on PS4 and Xbox One, so I can only imagine how that's going to be catered to, considering even just a small base right now can tank a frame rate. Under Your Journey Continues, seamlessly transitioning your No Man's Sky journey to the next generation, Xbox One saves are automatically compatible with the next generation, and PlayStation 4 players can upload their save data in-game for download on the PlayStation 5. So it's nice to know you won't be going without your continuous save that you've always had. In my speculation video, I didn't really talk much about the expansion of multiplayer. I did say that it would be possible to expand the multiplayer functionality, but they're raising the bar to 32 players online. I think PC already had this requirement, if I remember correctly, but I think it was down to 4 players on consoles. So this is going to be really, really neat. I'm glad they're expanding this, and now I really want for them to do something special with this capability now that we're adding up to 32 players. How can they take this functionality now and really do something amazing with 32 whole players? I'm not saying that you need to add Team Deathmatch or Battle Royale or something, but I'm just saying you could add Team Deathmatch or Battle Royale or something. It also mentions cross-play with all of the other platforms. That's really exciting to see. I'm still wondering what it's going to look like for some of the expanded capabilities, especially for 32 players. Are they expanding players on all of the platforms? How will that work for the previous gen players if they're cross-playing? Can they not see all of those extra players? Are all of those extra players just going to be floating orbs at this point? I'd like to see that fleshed out a little bit more and maybe informed a little bit better. Next up, me, a 4K TV owner, would be happy and proud to see this one, but 4K at 60 frames per second. Players with 4K compatible TVs can enjoy the universe in ultra-high resolutions with smoother performance. PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X owners can experience a smooth 60 frames per second at 4K resolutions, and Series S gets a little more capability with owners that can customize their experience with the choice of high-quality native resolutions with 30 frames per second or high-performance modes at 60 frames, sort of kind of how the PS4 Pro handles. Moving on, the folks who are buying PlayStation 5 and are excited about the PlayStation 5's DualSense capability will be happy to know that Hello Games have expanded this feature set to include the amazing haptic feedback that have been implemented into the DualSense. I'm interested interested in trying this myself. I'm more of a console player than I am a PC player, so I'm really excited about this. Next up, they're implementing 3D audio. This is a new feature that's coming with the PlayStation 5. I don't know how to explain this other than they're handling 3D audio differently. There's a dedicated chip in the PlayStation 5 that handles audio and creating more of a 3D environment with that audio that is supposedly supposed to be handled on even just standard speakers and headphones as well. I don't exactly know how they're pulling that off, but I look forward to reviews on how that's being handled in other games. For you VR players, it's obviously being expanded, and I can't wait to see those who have really struggled with the PSVR, with the diminished image quality for those who play. That's the number one reason I can't do VR myself is my head can't handle sub resolutions and blurry screens, and you just want to see a guy with a massive headache who can't bear the experience. That's me, but I'm happy for PSVR players who will get this kind of performance upgrade. I can just imagine right now seeing this kind of compatibility with a cleaner image. Happy for you guys on VR. They're implementing ultra visuals, talking about graphical rendering on next generation consoles being enhanced at every level with improved lighting, shadows, animation, fidelity, volumetric effects, texture quality, and greater draw distances. I wonder what this is really going to do for things like pop-up and things like that. I talked about that in my previous video for next gen. What was that going to do for more of like a render distance, grass difference, things like that? But in the example that it shows here, that everything is just much more packed, much more lush, and overall, just a ton of detail there. Now, in my last video, I mentioned one of the prime features of the next gen consoles being the NVMe SSD hardware. These solid-state drives were, to me anyway, the most exciting part, if not, for better graphics and things like that, but the SSDs providing a quicker, better, more enjoyable loading experience. Now, of course, we all love quicker load times, but this is also better for the feature set too, because the game isn't constantly working like old-gen consoles are to try to offload information from the disk into the memory, whereas it's just constantly on the move. You don't have to have all of these, 8 gigabytes of data that are being stored in the memory just in case you might use it. The SSDs being so fast that it can upload and offload that information from the memory from the SSD super fast. So with load times being incredibly faster, and in the example they posted in the patch notes there, that's super fast. I can't wait to see what warping looks like. I hope it's almost completely like without a loading screen. That would be pretty lovely. I'd like to see what they can actually do with that inevitably. Now, of course, they do include some additional patch notes at the bottom for 3.10, most of which is just talking about what we just highlighted. And then, of course, some fixes that's coming with previous gen platforms too, some optimizations and things like that, if you can't get a hold of a next gen console right now, that at least you'll have some fixes waiting for you on the 10th as well. Now, if somebody could please give me a PS5 already, let me pre-order one. Send one to me, Sony, so I can unbox it like an influencer or something. I would very much appreciate that. Otherwise, I'm going to be waiting for all of the Karens to get out of line so I can get one. Happy to see a next generation come pretty soon, right? We kind of needed this sort of distraction for 2020, and happy to see that No Man's Sky is getting an amazing update to accommodate those consoles. Folks, if this experience in this video was educational to your No Man's Sky experiences, then, well, pop a like on the video, subscribe for more, and I'm happy to see you in the future. Thanks for stopping by the LZ. See you next time.